Hey there, welcome back once again. It is time for the golden age of DC Comics, 365 days, where I take a well-loved coffee table book that was given to me by one of my best friends about 2 decades ago, and it's been riding my coffee tables ever since. Surfing, as I like to say. This book. What goes better with a coffee table book and coffee table talk? Fresh, delicious coffee. Globally curated, freshly roasted. Wow, that's good. This is the golden age of DC Comics. This was written by Les Daniels, Chip Kidd, Geoff Spear, published on Anchor Press of 2004. There is a link in the description below to Amazon. You can get your own copy if you'd like. Yeah, look at that. Isn't that cool? I love this book. This is well-loved, well-read, and I think it's great material, great content for my YouTube station. I love talking about comic books, and if you're tuning in right now, chances are you do too. And I miss these conversations that we would have at the local comic book shop on any given Wednesday. And I want to recreate that and share that with you and interact with you too. So leave a comment or a question, and we'll get to it. Heck, if you're really into it, we could even live cast and have a discussion in real time. Wouldn't that be cool? I love this YouTube community that's brought us together. But let's open the page and see where we are today. The golden age of DC Comics runs between 1938 and 1955. That's specific to DC Comics. And we're going to get into this just a little bit. The golden age, ends at 1955 with the start of the space race and televisions being now introduced as commonplace into homes, kind of replacing the radio shows. And so media was changing around that time, and so wasn't the world. And we were starting the Cold War and the space race. And the Silver Age begins in 1956 with showcase number 4 and the introduction of the Silver Age Flash, Barry Allen. And that runs between the Silver Age runs between 1956 and 1970. I'm a Bronze Age baby. The Bronze Age runs between 1970 and 1985. And the wikis claim that the current age of comic books runs from 1985 until now. I dispute that. I want to talk about that with other comic book people. Maybe you can sell me on some notion, or maybe you can identify what era are we in right now, and what era did we just leave? Because comic books have changed once again. So let's get to it. But also the Golden Age is deeper than this. Because DC Comics basically this is about the history of the superhero comic. And that started in 1938 with Superman and Action Comics number 1. But before comic books, there were the daily news strips and the Sunday papers with the funny pages, aka the funnies, and therefore leading to funny books, but there were, the sequential art game when it goes back pretty far. I get this information from Wikipedia, which prima facie I will accept. But the longest running American comic strips are the Katzenjammer Kids, that from 1897 until 2006. It ran for 109 years. Gasoline Alley, 1918 to the present, apparently. Ripley's Believe It or Not, 1918 to the present. I forgot about Ripley's Believe It or Not. Barney, Google, and Snuffy Smith is 1919 to the present. There's Thimble Theater / Popeye the Sailor Man. That's 1919 to the present. There's Blondie, The Adventures of the Beautiful Blondie and her hapless husband, Dagwood. They named the sandwich after the Dagwood. The really, really, really thick sandwich. And this was all cultural literacy of its day back then in the the 20s, 30s, and 40s and 50s. You could say, I'll have a Dagwood sandwich, and you'd know what you would get. There was Dick Tracy in 1931 to the present, Alley Oop from 1932 to the present, Bringing Up Father from 1913 to 2000, that was 87 years, and Little Orphan Annie in 1924, which ran until 2010. That was a run of 86 years. Wow. So comics do go back that far. I mean, it's a genre and a medium that of sequential art telling stories through popular art that is over 100 years old. And I'm so happy to be part of that culture and to learn its history and to also use it as a lens to see into history. I can't get enough of talking about these comics. But what am I doing? Let's get to today. It's April the 17th, and we are talking about Theodore Knight, the original Starman. Yes, indeed. And I'll read his wiki blurb, his history. Let's catch up with Ted Knight. But also, Starman begat a line of starmen that will span until at least the 637th century in DC 1 million. One of my favorite crossover events. But we'll get to that in a minute. Let's read the blurb. This is art by Jack Burnley. This is from the cover of Adventure Comics, Adventure Comics 71, issue number 71, published in February of 1942. The United States had just entered World War II on the Pacific Theater. Let's see. The mystery and glamour of ancient Egypt inspired countless comic book heroes, from Hawkman to Ibis the Invincible, and also provided uncanny atmosphere for the adventures of just about every guy in tights. Two writers whose detective stories influenced comic books, Edgar Allan Poe and Arthur Conan Doyle, had also written stories about mummies returning to life. And by the time of this issue, such characters were common in Hollywood. A few months after this comic was published, Universal Pictures released The Mummy's Tomb, a second in a series of films that would soon include The Mummy's Ghost and The Mummy's Curse. It would seem everyone was well aware of mummies, except perhaps the star of this story. Look behind you, Starman! Dun, dun, dun! Yeah, let's look at that art once again here. Okay. He's probably not a real mummy, because he knows what a gun is. Try explaining, the bullets and, automatic handguns to a 3,000-year-old reanimated corpse, just freshly out of the box. What would he know what that was? So I'm betting that these are just common crooks trying to, get one over in Opal City. But let's read about Starman, Ted Knight, the Golden Age Starman, just for a second. And we'll talk about his legacy as well. Theodore Henry, Ted Knight, is a fictional hero. He first appeared in Adventure Comics, number 61, in April of 1941. Created by Gardner Fox and artist Jack Burnley. Burnley drew the Starman costume as a variation of Superman's famous outfit, topped with a Buck Rogers-style helmet with the fin. His first story in Adventure Comics pitted Starman against Dr. Doog, who threatened the world with his invention, the Ultra Dynamo. He would continue to appear in Adventure Comics through February of 1946 and All-Star Comics number 8 to number 23 of winter 1944. He invented the gravity rod, which is a device that he uses to fly and manipulate energy, at times similar in manner to the Green Lantern's power ring. Ted Knight's also an astronomer and an expert scientist. He developed the rods himself. The gravity rod later becomes the cosmic rod, and it gets passed down from generation to generation. there were several starmen. There is Michael Thomas, and there was Prince Gavin, and then there was Will Payton, and then there's David Knight, who dies really quickly, and David Knight is Ted Knight's son, and he tries to be the new Starman, and he dies, and so Jack Knight, his younger brother, Ted's other son, his youngest, has to reluctantly take the mantle of Starman. Those were some really, really good, good Starman stories. Some really good cosmic tinged superhero stories. And his young protege was Stargirl, Courtney Whitmore. And she premiered in 1996, I believe, written by Geoff Johns. I remember this because Geoff Johns had based the character of Courtney Whitmore after his own sister Courtney, who tragically passed away in the Flight 800 explosion of TWA, and that was in July 17th of 1996. I know this personally because I was coming back home from Orlando with my girlfriend at the time. We were in the air flying over, and as we were flying over New York, they dimmed all the cabin lights and we could see fireworks from our windows. And we found out when we landed that those were search flares, and they were looking for the downed Flight 800 TWA. And so Geoff Johns made this really awesome, lovable character called Courtney Whitmore, based after his very own sister who died too young. And she has her own CW TV show. She's a great hero, strong, stunning, brave, inventive, smart, just like, and she's of a younger generation, so she's usually grouped with the Justice Society of America, the senior circuit of superheroes, and they robustly have a mentor relationships with the newer generation of superheroes. And Geoff Johns' Justice Society of America were some really quality superhero funny books for DC for the early 2000s. And I was glad to be part of that. So yeah, Starman is a huge legacy character, even going to a DC 1 million, which was a event-wide title, a crossover that pretended that based upon 1938 in Action Comics #1, that if you were to produce Action #1 million, it would be published in the 637th century. And so they based, all the legacy characters in that era. So we had Superman 1 million, Batman 1 million, and Starman 1 million, who ended up being the Judas to the team in a really emotional, it had all the feels to it. It was a really well done series, and I love DC 1 million. But yeah, let's take a look at the art one last time. That's Starman. And yeah, we can't see if he's holding the gravity rod. It might be in that pouch on his hip. But yeah, that's Ted Knight, the Golden Age Starman. And this has been the Golden Age of DC Comics, 365 days, where we're going to talk about comic books every day for the rest of the year. So tune in tomorrow, 3 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, and we'll find out who and what we're talking about when we turn the page tomorrow. Thank you so much for tuning in. Like and subscribe if you could be so kind. I'm an amateur theologian, an ordained minister. There's a playlist called Gratitude List, so I can hopefully maybe help improve your day by suggesting that you write a gratitude list in the morning, because I suffer from the chronic mopies, the chronic lonelies, and the chronic angries, and it really helps me later on in the day when the day's clobbering me and ganging up on me to get some perspective. And through this perspective and through this gratitude, I can count my blessings, and I have greater purpose now. So it's a really good skill set to have. They're mind bullets to shoot down these bad guys. And I'm also a professional chef. I have cooking videos I want to share with you, professional level cooking hacks, so you make nutritious, delicious, and beautiful food in your kitchen for your loved ones at your table. Check out the playlist called What's Cooking. Tune in tomorrow, same Sully time, same Sully channel. God bless you, and hopefully one day I will earn your subscription. So thanks for tuning in. God bless. Good luck. Namaste. And hopefully I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.